British lawmakers fear for their safety after threats and abuse over Gaza. I'm going to read into this more from Reuters, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Reuters with the headline that British lawmakers are fearing for their safety after threats and abuse over Gaza. Guys, while you're here, before I give my initial thoughts, if you can hit the like button and share across social media so others are notified of this video. So regardless, look, I understand that we obviously tensions are high with what's going on with what's happening over Gaza, and we hope that the bloodshed will stop and that people will stop dying. But there is also this fundamental fact that there are many people here in the UK, here in particular in England specifically, that are being targeted simply because of for whatever reason they're picking sides here. Now, clearly, obviously, this picture, I don't like the fact that people are still standing in solidarity with Israel, especially with how they are handling things. And I understand that there's a lot of, and understandably, lots of anger towards Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu and the government. And I generally believe that the way they have handled this has been despicable and atrocious. But British lawmakers, regardless of however you feel about them and what they say and do, threatening abuse and whatnot is not going to solve anything over in the Middle East in any way, shape or form, guys. We're not going to solve anything. We're not. All we're doing, we're stoking and inflaming the anti-Semitism and the hatred that certain right-wing media, certain people want you to do. And they want you to turn a blind eye to things that are happening in this country. They want you to focus on the anti-Semitism and the hatred and whatnot. They don't want you focusing on what's actually the real issues that are going place in your country. No, they want you turning a blind eye and pointing them elsewhere. Leave British lawmakers alone. It's not going to fix and it's not going to solve any of the issues whatsoever. And I think that's a really important message that I wanted to get to you guys. So this was on London on February 28th, guys. So it was 10 minutes of shouting accusations of being a genocide enabler and having blood in your hands that made a British lawmaker fear for his safety over his decision to voice support for Israel in its war with Hamas. Now, I vehemently disagree with his decision to support Israel in its war with Hamas. My argument is basically the way that it's been handled. Now, whether you agree or disagree is one thing, but to say that this person is a genocide enabler, I don't think that's fair. If somebody is supporting Palestinian people, and obviously they've been trying to paint Hamas as Palestinian supporters, does that make you a Hamas supporter? No, it does not. I don't like this two-sided thing. I think one thing I think everyone wants is bloodshed to stop. And there will be no way that they can, in my opinion, that I think Hamas can go in this situation. As much as what they done on October the 7th was an absolutely terrible and horrific story, I just can't see that happening. Almost touching noses with his accuser before walking away and warning he would call the police, the opposition Labour Party member said the incident in a town in his constituency was just the latest of several that made him change his behaviour. He now makes sure he sits near the door on public transport and limits meetings with the public. He feels like you could just need one spark to flip on somebody giving you a tuppence criticism in the street to escalate to actual violence, the lawmakers said. After the October 7th Hamas attack that sparked the war in Gaza, more than 10 British politicians spoken to by Reuters said that the direct abuse directed at them had become more intense. At least one cited this as a factor in decided not to seek a new term in Parliament in an election later this year. All spoke on condition of autonomy, saying they were fearful of giving their names would increase the threats and abuse. The conflict in the Palestinian enclave has inflamed tensions across the globe, bringing protesters onto the streets and support for both sides and dividing opinion among leaders on how to end the bloodshed. In Britain, even politicians who are no strangers to receiving abuse from the public said the tone has become ugly and dangerous, with some feeling that they could easily slip into violence. Many are considering taking steps to protect themselves, such as wearing stab vests in meetings or the latest safe rooms. Last week, Parliamentarian Speaker Lindsay Hoyle sent Parliament into chaos when he broke the precedents, allowing all three main parties to set out their positions on a call for a ceasefire in Gaza. That was designed to prevent lawmakers from having to choose between backing a ceasefire, abstaining, and voting against one to follow their party's orders. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has been called on all sides to take the heat out of the issue, but some of his Conservative lawmakers have been accused of Islamophobia. In their responses, they deny the charge. The Interior Minister has announced funding of worth £31 million, that's $39 million, on last Wednesday to provide new security provisions for lawmakers and other officials. It would be used to protect democratic processes from disruption, he said. Now, as for, I've talked about this in previous video, but yeah, the fact that we have to do this is really a really shameful thing. It does make me really sad thinking about that. But despite getting the highly charged ceasefire vote out of the way last week and the level of abuse easing a little, some lawmakers have decided to quit, saying the threats have become intolerable. The memory of two lawmakers, one killed by a right-wing extremist in 2016 and the other by 2021 by a man inspired by the Islamic State, weighs heavily. After seeing his office in North London constituency targeting a suspected arson attack in December, Conservative lawmaker Mike Freed said he was standing down at the election after a consistent string of incidences. He has defended Israel. Like I've said, we believe Israel has the right to defend itself, but it doesn't have the right to kill 30,000 Palestinians as well. Dozens of protesters demonstrated outside their home of Tobias Ellwood, another Conservative lawmaker, earlier this month, with signs accusing him of being complicit in genocide in Gaza. The Labour lawmaker, who now watches where he sits in public transport, said he's been advised by police to install a partition at his constituency or voting district office so that people waiting to see him could not get near to him quickly. He described a huge coordinated email campaign against him and others, the emails sent from different addresses in the run-up to the February 21st ceasefire vote, which had no binding effect on the government, demanded lawmakers vote for immediate ceasefire and called on ministers to suspend arms sales to Israel. Another lawmaker said he had discussed with his wife getting a safe room installed at their home. No one should have to think about having a safe room just because they want to serve their communities, he said. A veteran politician said there had been other times where public anger meant lawmakers were in the firing line, such as over British departure from the European Union, but that the threat of violence over Gaza has marked a change for the worse. I've had deep conversation with two colleagues about wearing stab vests to meetings, he said. This is a very recent development. It's a bit similar to the lines of some of the other stories that we've covered already here on this channel. But what I will say is while I vehemently disagree with people who are standing with Israel, like those here, and I do disagree with them, because the handling by the Israeli government, the handling of this by Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF has been nothing short of absolutely disgusting and atrocious. They have not handled this in any way, shape or form properly. And we have said it before, and we've said it again about the countless video clips and stories online about how Palestinians are being treated in Gaza. Don't need to rehash it. We've said it enough times, guys. But the fact that many British politicians and lawmakers are simply are not working together to unite for a proper ceasefire, British lawmakers and politicians. In doing, if they had done so with all three of the major political parties, the SNP, the Labour and Conservatives, if they actually came together and hashed out a proper ceasefire, united in wanting this to end in a more humane way, I generally believe the tension would ease here in the UK. Now, it won't make a difference in the Middle East. We know that it's not going to make a difference in the Middle East. But I do believe that British politicians can defuse a lot of tension here in the UK if they just worked together. But because it's an election year, no, we can't do that. And it's very infuriating to say the least. And it's not right that politicians should fear for their concerns and well-being and Sunak have to apply funding to ensure their safety and whatnot. It shouldn't have to be this way. We know it shouldn't have to be this way, but unfortunately, this is the situation that we are in. So, guys, what do you make of this story? What do you make of British lawmakers fearing for their safety? Is it right that politicians should face threats and abuse over Gaza? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button, it would be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media and hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I upload another video. And if you want to financially support me in the work I can do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.